All right. We are recording fantastic. All right, guys. Welcome, welcome. It's been a long time. So, tonight we are back from a long break. But I brought a cool guest because, we go talk about this and that. This one is going to be a lot of fun because it still focuses on those cool jobs and the jobs you're like, hey, I never thought of that. Those kind of jobs, where you can make money and do stuff, but not have to do this. Yeah. So anyways, Lucy is with us. I know she may look a little different. She doesn't have her pink hair or orange hair, I think it was last.
Orange. Yeah, it was orange, yeah.
Orange. She is sporting the new do. And our guest tonight is Fayth. Fayth, say hello.
Hi.
All right. So the show I called it the Geeks of Bel Air because I figured everybody has a geek inside of them, no matter who you are, where you're from, where you're born, right? I always say, my tattoo is, hilarious because I love tattoos, but I'm a geek. I like cartoons and stuff like that, video games. So I started finding that, but we also share, trauma, PTSDs, tragedies that we've gone through. We don't talk about them and we hold them in and it gets worse. When I started talking about my stuff, I noticed I controlled the conversation. I controlled the narrative. And then instead of the incident and the shooting happening, controlling me, I controlled it. It wasn't controlling my everyday life. It wasn't controlling my thoughts, my dream. It wasn't keeping me up at night anymore because I'm now saying it. I'm telling it, and I'm now in control. So when I started talking to other people, they were feeling the same way. And that's where the show started. But have a shit ton of kids that I have, 6. I also wanted to find out, all right, let's not only talk about sad stuff, let's talk about fun stuff. So that's where the Geeks of Bel Air, what do you like to do? What do you do for work? Oh, that's cool. How'd you do that? Because I was 24, started my career, thought I was going to be there forever. 10 years in, broke my back, couldn't do it ever again. So now you're, trying to redo your career at 34 years old. It's not fun. I'm 39 and still playing that game. What do I want to be when I grow up? I don't know if I'll ever know, but as long as I keep paying the bills, that's all that matters. But so this is the show. This is what our platform is. And I know it's been a couple months because of all the medical stuff I had, but we're back and I can't wait for you all to meet Fayth. So Fayth, please tell everybody, what do you do for a living?
I am a scientific processor in training, technically. So it's like training, technical engineering, and then engineer. So I'm in the switch from training to technical engineering for processing.
So what do you do with that?
Okay, so that's a huge question. I work on these big machines. Some of them are size of 18-wheelers. Some of them are even bigger than that. Taking your everyday materials under plastic and rubber, kind of like nylon or PVC, latex, things like that. LDPE is a really common material that you see in your day-to-day. It's what your milk jug's made out of, things like that. I take that material, some data with it, and put it in this machine, and now you have a milk jug in your refrigerator.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
She works on awesome heavy machines. Lucy,
I love my machines. They are a lot when some people walk up to them, and it's really intimidating. And when I first started doing it, I was just like, I am not going to push that button because that button costs, 3 years salary. But they are a lot more easier to understand than you think they are.
That's awesome. And Lucy now knows. She's like, oh, I get it. Travis and his 4 girls. He's like, girl power shows. Here we go. I love that kind of stuff because it's one of those things. I remember at Crew Day, you had a weather girl was there and a doctor and a lawyer. No. Where's that landscaper? Where's the guy that does this? Where's the real jobs that I can get? Where can when I get out of high school? Where's those people? Where's the kind of careers that I can go in and say, oh, I can go to school and learn how to do this? fantastic. And that's what I always baffles me. You know, people are like, oh, I graduated college. What do you do? I'm a server.
Yeah.
No, I'm a server too. I didn't go to college. But, ooh,
My
I'm
job
training
is
you.
definitely in my job leans a little further towards like the trades community, whether it's in fabrication or machining and stuff like that. I do some of that minor stuff on the side as well. My facility not only has the machine, the name of the machine that I work on is called an injection machine, injecting plastic to create a product. But mine's a little farther into the trades community. You have to understand machines, and that far is farther into trades. Someone is usually working on the machines, whether it's hydraulics or changing things out or mechanically, and then there's the person that runs the machine. So yeah, mine's a little farther into the trades, and I found out that was something that I was very interested in pretty quickly.
Is it because you're hands-on?
Very.
Trade school,
I'm
you're
very
very hands-on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember growing up in our town, there was Lake Tech, and that was where everybody went that dropped out of high school. That's not what it was, but that's what we were told. Why was now tech schools are there's tech high schools now where you graduate high school and you have that tech degree, you know, and that's there around here. That's huge, and it's smart because why not? Why do you not do that? You know, but I think that tech schools, for me, if you had all tech schools more options or easier available, you wouldn't have that many people go to college and fail out in a year, 2 years, or pass for 4 years and never have a job for that career. You know, like basket weaving 101. You know, hey, you have your degree, but you don't do anything with it. What'd you go to school for? Bitching with management. Get it. Hey, don't be. I'm just saying. Okay. You know, but tech schools are. My two oldest that are out, I push the shit out of those. They get tired of hearing it. I say, hey, you know,
I think
Army, Air Force,
a lot of people
Navy,
lean towards the colleges too because they don't know how much. Not just money is always important. It's always going to be important to everybody. But I think that people think going to the college to go be a doctor, they're not going to make as much money learning something in the trades. Now, when people finally do get into the trades and start working in the trades, and they realize, no, it's not the way that they described it. You are going to make just as much money in the trades, if not more, as you would be making going to college and getting $50,000 in debt to get where you want to be.
Unfortunately, our age group, it was a bad word.
Yeah,
it was a bad word, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to dropout school. That's not a freaking dropout. Unless you're hair, that's fine. That's cosmetology. Got it. Oh, wait. When I went to the academy, it was at a tech school too. That was odd. So the police academy and fire academy are with a tech school? Interesting. Like, so it gives okay, that's kind of cool. Or like my friend who builds computers and works for computer stuff. He went to Lake Tech for computers. What? You know, like it's culinary schools, you know, those kind of things. I don't know. That's why I like doing this. Find out what people do and say, hey, all right, you didn't go to 4 years of college? Awesome. I love tech schools. They're my favorite. So what kind of, like did you get a job first and then do schooling, or did you know you wanted that field and go schooling first, or?
So I went to the job. Okay. I went to this job flat out. I went to this job with no experience besides running machinery. That's it. Turn it on, get it running, keep it running, put the products in. That was about it. My understanding when I first started this job is that I was going to be running a piece of robotic machinery, which is what I started doing. But two separate sides of the facility. The other side of the facility had these injection machines, and quickly, like I had said, I started working on these machines with someone, and I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. I can push some buttons, and now I have the dashboard for Mercedes-Benz. That's pretty cool. So I started the job first. They, I guess, seen the want or the need or the fact that I was really interested in it and that I could learn pretty quickly. The job seen it themselves, and they offered me to go to school about 8 months into working there. They paid for me to go to 3 months of trade school. So I was working part-time and going to the trade school that they paid for. Once I completed.
What trade school did you go to?
Harvard Community.
Okay.
Harvard Community. I went in to learn the basis of technical engineering. And this was just like a head start program, if you want to put it that way. It was like a head start program. To, here's your footsteps toward the direction you want to go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So they paid for me to go to the trade school. I went there for 3 months. Once I completed that, and of course everything's passed, successful, I've done well in it. They paid for me to go to an in-person hands-on training specifically with these machines, injection machines. So I went to a company in Connecticut called Arberg. Arberg spent 2 weeks of hands-on training with me, where I am, for the first time ever since I've been with the company, actually the one pushing the buttons to the machine. Mm-hmm. And these, that's awesome. These buttons are massive for me. It's not just here's some keyboard buttons. This button could, break something that is worth more than 5 vehicles, kind of thing. It was very, very intimidating starting out. Yeah. But yeah, I spent 2 weeks at the Harvard, not Harvard. I'm getting ready to say Harvard. I spent 2 weeks at Arberg in Connecticut. Once I completed that, and I should have brought it out with me. Give me a second. Facility. Once I've completed everything, and they sent the certificate, meaning I was in scientific processing 101. That's what on this attended Arberg machine setting course, scientific processing, and then it's dated and all that good stuff. So I went to Hartford Community first for 3 months, completed that. I came back to work for like 2 weeks, and they sent me back out to do this. This was in Connecticut. I was there for 2 weeks. And then once I completed that, I think I came back to work and kind of took a break for a little bit, get my hands on our machines in our facility, spend time with our machines, not someone else's machines. Mm-hmm. So I did that for a little while, making sure that I was retaining the information that I was receiving through Arberg. Once I had done that, got our machines functional, learned how to change out massive, like 5,000 pound parts inside of this machine on my own. They then they put me in an online class. It took me a year to complete that as well. That's where all these came in. These are all individual certificates for completing online courses. This was my more or less a second step in scientific processing. So now I'm stepping out of the technical part and into the scientific part of what it takes to run these machines.
Nice. That's awesome. And that just means, for the people that don't understand, that means money, raises, different job titles.
That is something that I have got to give more than enough credit to my company for. There are a lot of companies. It says a lot about the company to begin with, that they were willing to put this time, effort, and money into me. But not only that, as I'm doing all of the things that they're, putting this money into, I never once ever had to come to them and be like, hey, I think I need a raise. Throughout my completion, like almost individually, after I completed Hartford Community, I got a raise. After I completed the Arberg hands-on, I got a raise. After 6 months in these classes right here, they got my scores from the classes. And of course, I'm all of the scores passing. I got an increase after 6 months after that. And then once I was done, I got a $2 increase. And none of this is with me coming to them like, hey, they could see what I was doing and that I was putting effort in it. And there was never a question.
Lucy, I think you've seen the different guests. Isn't it funny how personalities just show up together? Like, I'm just like, wow, you're cool. So we started. I was my show is this, about this. And she's like, "Oh, you live in Florida?" I was like, "I used to." She goes, "Oh, I'm moving to Florida." I was like, "That's cool." Well, where are you? She's like, I'm from Bel Air. I'm like, "Wait, so how did? Okay, sure, thank you. This is cool. Like, all right, this is fun. I love
Connections.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
love these connections. I love
That was really cool, actually. I remember talking to
Yeah.
him about that. Hey, I live here. This is where I'm going,
Yeah.
and this is where you used to be.
Yeah,
that's wild.
I was like, that's awesome. It just makes it fun because it's like, and then you start talking. You're like, oh man, if we, this would have been somebody, Lucy, this would have been a you know.
Yeah.
It'd be like 20 years later or 30 years later, we're still sitting there chatting. You just instant, like you get them. You just mesh well with everybody. I love this. I love this thing about. So the one thing you said to me that I liked is you said that it's you're a girl playing with big toys and a man. You're like you're not. There's not many girls in your field, but you're like you own it. And they saw that. They sent you to school, so that's got to be pretty cool.
Actually, while I was, so I think that was some of my push as well. I can remember being still in training. I think I had went to or completed the Hartford community at this point, and I was on my like 2-week lead time going to Arborg, and I came back to our facility, and it was the first mold change that I had to do alone. So that we got this, big 5-ton press about the size of an 18-wheeler, and there's a mold inside of it that this plastic goes into, right? All right, well, those molds get changed out based on what kind of part you want. Yeah. So I've got back to our facility at this point, and this is the first mold change that I've ever had to do it and alone. And I had to do it to be able to prove that that was something I was capable of doing before moving forward. A lot of the reason I had to prove it is because not a lot of women can move a 3,000-pound mold around. And it not necessarily women, just not a lot of people in general can move this big, 5 to, whatever 1,000-pound mold around. So I remember having to change this mold around. This one was like 3,200 pounds. I get the mold out, the mold's on the table. I lifted it with the crane, this, that, and other. I'm transporting the mold from where it was to the destination it needed to be at, which is, a breakdown on the table. And, I've got it all done. I got sweat pouring down my face. Oh, my Lord. But I got it done. And I remember the trainer being there. So there was 2 separate people there. There was the scientific engineer there. And that was the person I spent a lot of my time with learning the process to how to run this machine. And then there's the person that sets this machine up with these big, 3,000, 5,000 pound molds, takes these parts in and out and changes them out depending on what needs to be ran. So there's 2 people that already off gate needs to be there to be able to run this machine. But the person that was, moving these molds around, this is an older guy, 40, 45-ish. Definitely a lot bigger than me. This man was probably about 6'3", a good 200-pound man. I remember him at the end of it all. I've got it broke down on the table, this, that, and another. And for the first time that I had been going since like 8 a.m. that morning, it's now 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I remember just sitting down in the chair, and he came over to me, and he was like, I've just got to ask you a question. And I was like, what is that? Why do you want to do what you're doing? Because obviously it's not easy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's why. I want to do something that you don't see everyday people doing. And I want to do something that I feel like pushes me. I don't want to sit in front of computers all day and pick up a cell phone or pick up the office phone. Hey, how you doing? I don't want to do that. I feel like my job is fulfilling. That's why I want to do what I want to do. And he was like, well, but it's so stressful on you. And I was just like, that means that the more it's stressing me out, the more that I'm learning. And at some point in time, it's no longer going to be stressful. It's going to be an everyday thing for me. And that means it's going to be the next step to me learning whatever it may be.
Challenge me, right? Like challenge me. I want to be challenged.
I need that to push me. I need that challenge.
Yeah. And also that challenge is a new challenge. It gives you that brain, and it gets rid of old things, and you're like,
it does. It does.
It's that release. It's we've already, I've always said video games, man. I know I really play like 2, maybe 3, but it's the same 3 I've always played because it works. I can turn that video game on, I can play it. But like I've been off the meds, so this week I just had this energy. It just my wife came home and I was like, oh, I got the garage all organized. She's like, what? Well, you swept it and everything? I'm like, mm-hmm.
You even swept?
Yeah, I've only been asking for years to do it, but I didn't want to push. So, and then got all the Christmas stuff down in the basement into the dry storage. Got the new basement area set up. My new office recording room. That's why it's echoey, because it's empty right now with just my backdrop and my table. But hopefully next week you'll see all my stuff on my walls. It's all sitting in boxes right here next to me. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that's the kind of people. I mean, I'm the same kind of way. I'm talking to people and I'm a hands-on. And you let me go. If you tell me that A and B and C is all I'm allowed to do, and that's how you run, cool. I will be in A, B, and C, and I'll be running it to the best ability, and I can show anybody else how to do it too. But if you say, hey, go make some sales calls. You know what? No. I don't want that.
Yeah. That's how it was. That I even got asked at one point in time if I wanted to take a break and go, because quickly, after learning these machines, they have other machines in the facility. I know how to change these molds in these machines. I know how to process on these machines. I know how to do basic mechanical work on the machines. Mm-hmm. So I was being asked, so can you come fix this on this robot and this, that, and another? And I was for it. I learned some stuff about the robotics part of our facility as well. But after completing a whole lot of stuff, I got asked if I wanted to go in the office so that I could be the reaching point for things that we need to order, whether that be mechanical things or parts for machines or things. And I was just like, no.
No, thank you.
No, I don't. I'll let you know what part I need. Here's the number for it. That's all I need to do.
So at your new position, when you moved to Florida, are you going to be trying to do more of the, like you were saying, the robotics, repairing those machines? Or are you still going to want to do?
So this facility is a lot bigger than where I came from. This facility reached out to me with some of the reason that I moved or took the lead to move to Florida. I mean, my significant other was already here in Florida, which was kind of beneficial, obviously. But this company reached out to me apparently, or I'm finding quickly that scientific processors, that's technically the name for what I do, that's what I am, are very few and limited. So it's a high need. Just like a lot of the things in the trades community, there's very few. So there's always people looking for people to be able to do this very specific job. So they reached out to me. I was in this little bitty facility running, 3 machines and like 1 robotic machine. We had a couple small machines. These are the smaller machines are what would take the product from my injection machines and put it all together kind of thing. Yeah. So I went from this little bitty company, mom and pop kind of shop thing, to this really big company. With that being said, there's kind of a process to where I'm going with this company as of right this moment. I'm still doing what I was doing where I previously came from, which is scientific processing. But I'm going to be in the long term with this company, a processing engineer, which it's going to take me about 4 years to get there.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Is that 4 years of schooling or just work? And
it's pretty much. So I've also found in being with this line of work, that this is not necessarily something you can go to school for. I mean, you can go to the beginning stages, but these machines aren't necessarily something they're going to put in a college classroom.
That's awesome.
And so it's pretty much, I'm going to spend the next 4 years with a scientific process engineer. So the guy actually that I'm with right now has been a process engineer for almost 27 years. So I'll be with him side by side for the next 4 years.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. So I know we talked and the question is, I'll save the fun questions for one, but I do have a question about you. you are on this path. You're going to school. You're doing that. What age were you when you started going to school?
Okay. Okay. So I was a high school dropout. I'm gonna go back a little bit that far. I ended up getting expelled from North Carolina schools when I was about 16 years old. So I dropped out, went and got my GED probably about a year later. So if I was 16, I was 18. I dropped out and went and challenged the GED test. Meaning I didn't go to school. I just kind of went into the community college and was like, I want to challenge the test. And I did. I went in and challenged the test, and I passed everything and got my GED almost right then and there. After that, there's a whole lot in between. We fast forward to kind of where I am now. I started schooling for process engineering 3 years ago.
That's awesome.
3 years ago.
So
My first set of school would have had to have been Hartford Community.
That's awesome. So do you want to talk about that in between? Do you want to just what got you out of that in between? How about that? What brought you out of it?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty open. Like you said previously, I don't even know if we were recording that part, but
no.
Talking about where I've been and where I am now has helped me more than it's ever hurt me. It took me a long time to be able to get there or say that. But yeah, I have no issues talking about where I've been. I really think that it could help a lot of people.
So
you got to give me a more specific question, though.
Okay, that's right. So after you dropped out of high
or
school,
even giving explanations behind them.
Yeah, well, after you dropped out of high school, what happened? What were you said you got kicked out? So what were you doing? Were you hanging with bad people? Was it were you just unsupervised? Or
so I'm gonna go probably back to the age when I was like 13. Okay. I'm gonna go back to 13. We can discuss any family history if we need to at any point in time. But at the age of 13, I had kind of been tossed all around from childhood. At 13, I was living with my grandma. That's pretty much who raised me. I lived with her most of the portion of my life. So at 13, my life was pretty hectic. I was living with my grandma. My granddaddy had passed away. We were living in a home that was paid for, through the VA. When he passed away, the VA kind of took the house. So me and grandma were pretty much kind of left on our own. And we ended up moving from one town to another, a 3-hour difference. So I was in a whole new school and everything like that. My grandma was struggling very bad. And we were in a situation where, where are we going to sleep kind of thing. And so she ended up getting a little bitty house. We were in that house for a little while, but I think 3 or so months in, grandma's, I don't know how we're going to pay for this. I don't know how we're going to pay for the rent. The lights are going to get cut off. I don't know what to do. And well, I found out pretty quickly that I was pretty good at hustling.
All right, come on.
You okay?
Continue or stop.
You're good. Yeah.
Okay. So I found out quite quickly that I was good at hustling. That I could skip school and make money. And that was pretty much what I got into. I got to help grandma pay these bills, or we're not going to, either one of us are going to have anywhere to sleep in another month or so. So there I got at, I'm 13 going on 14 at this point, and I'm skipping school regularly to go, hustle. I was selling some pretty heavy drugs, dealing to regular people, some people outside of school, some people in school, some of the towns, lawyers and things like that. I was selling heavily. And it was helping. I mean, I was paying a lot of the bills at my grandma's house. I'm going to say probably about a good year and a half into that, was when that, that big traumatic event happened. I had a book bag and a book bag on my back. That's what I would walk. I mean, I'm coming from school. I didn't skip school. I have a book bag on my back. And the direction that I'm coming from, book bag on. Most cops don't pay you no mind because I'm walking from the direction of the school. I have book bag on. The school that I was going to was kind of pretty close to town, maybe a mile, give or take. I would walk and I would already be in town. So I had my book bag on. My book bag was, I had about a half kilo of cocaine in the book bag. This is me about 14. I was almost 15 at this time. And, I think I was on Main Street in the little town I was in. And, the guy that I was dealing for was obviously well known. I mean, I'm not walking around with a little bag of weed in my book bag. So he was well known. And, I got into Midtown. I got to a Kangaroo, and some guys in a car jumped out the car, snatched me up. They wanted the bag, and I didn't want to give up the bag, obviously, because there was a lot of money in that bag. I got beat up pretty bad. Actually, I got a fracture to like my right jaw and my eye socket. And they found me behind that. I was behind a dumpster at that Kangaroo. I don't have really a whole lot of recollection. I remember getting snatched in the car and jumped out. Like I got snatched in one side and went out the other side because I was trying to get out of the vehicle. Apparently, I did make it out of the vehicle, probably a couple good lunges away from the vehicle. And I got hit in the side of my head with a crowbar and it knocked me out. I obviously don't remember much after that. I woke up, or I didn't really wake up. I got woken up by, EMS and police, everything, behind the Kangaroo. I was behind the dumpster at that Kangaroo. I remember bleeps, not everything. Woke up in a hospital bed. I had spent 8 days in recovery at the hospital. Needless to say, I quit doing what I was doing for a while after that. About 6 months later is when I had said that I'm more or less the PTSD kicked in. I don't have a lot of recollection of what happened. I do now. Then I didn't have a lot of recollection of what had really happened. I started having seizures. I'm now 15, going on 16 years old. The seizures were really sporadic. I had mentioned earlier that they were kind of triggered from arguments or being really stressed out. I remember having, verbal arguments with my grandma because we're now both really stressed out at this point. I'm not doing what I was doing as much anymore, and the money's not coming in. At this point, I'm pretty much dropped out of school. I'm going whenever I feel like going, kind of thing. So we're pretty stressed out. I'd be in an argument. This is 6 months after the event, and kind of hit the floor out of nowhere, and that's where the seizures started happening. I think the very first seizure, I had quit breathing momentarily. Obviously, I'm sent to the hospital. This starts, a string of events following. The seizures got pretty sporadic and heavy for about 3 months, and we're trying to get into, doctors and specialists because nobody really knows what's happened or what's going on. I've never had seizures before, and I'm, 15 going on 16 years old. I went through doctors on doctors on doctors, all kinds of diagnoses because nobody knew what was happening. Yeah. I had, the brain scans and all this, that, and another. Everything seemed to come back clean every time. I remember going to the doctor so many times and being so stressed out because I felt like I was really getting no answers. And it's pretty stressful at, 15 going on 16 years old. And you can't even go to school if you want to because you don't know if you're going to hit the floor in the middle of the classroom. Yeah. So doctors on doctors, I'm probably 6 months more following. So this is like a year following the event. I finally ended up at a doctor for POTS syndrome. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's kind of, if you stand up quick, you pass out kind of thing. Okay. This is just where I landed at this point because they didn't really know where to send me. And I did something called a stress test. I think, they strapped me down to a table. I laid on the table kind of at an angle for quite some time until it pops up real quick. And it did. It worked. It sent me into a seizure. So there is pretty much where I got my diagnosis for PTSD, meaning that we're non-epileptic and stress-induced. Yeah. and they're kind of led through a whole lot of events. All
Yeah.
of those events led to a bunch of different things. So the first original
Yeah,
event
yeah.
was I was 14, almost 15 years old when the first traumatic event I had ever had happened. That now has reached me all the way to the point of almost 16 years old. In my first doctor's office, getting my first significant diagnosis of PTSD.
But I just wow. First off, I'm so glad that we're able to have this conversation today. You're
Thank
such
you.
a cool person, and it's this sucks, you know. And I hate these stories, but it is what it needs to be done. It is what everybody needs to hear because there's a 14-year-old girl. It's like, I have nothing. You have to sell drugs. You don't. You don't. There is something, you know, maybe not in where you're standing or who you're hanging out with. That might be the problem, but there's not, you know, and if I can, when I show my, you know, when I air them and people call me and text me, message me and say things, I'm like, oh, thanks. I'm glad that resonated, or that's cool, you know. It's just like that one. Yeah, you see, I'm down here holding. I'm like going. I'm trying to be calm. It's my stress ball to keep me chill on the camera. But really, I'm like, I want to jump out and go just defend that 14-year-old girl so bad. Like that's the parent in me. That's the man. I mean, it's just the right thing. I feel so bad that you had to go through that, but I'm so glad that, like I said, we can be here because this is real life. It's not fake. It's not movies. It's not, you know, it's not the OC. But it's also, the main thing is it can be bad, but look how amazing it can be. And you can get through anything, you know, you can get through anything. You just,
I remember telling. So
you
I've
have to
been
be
to
tough like Faye. That's it. You got to be tough like Faye.
I've been to a couple of places at this point, speaking with groups of kids. I'm 28 years old. I've gone to a few different places, speaking with groups of kids, and I always get a lot of wow when people hear parts of the story. And I've had a couple kids, you know, crying. I don't want to do this anymore. And where it can. I got lucky. I got out. I don't know how I got as lucky as I did. Now that wasn't the end of everything. My life didn't get much better after
No,
that.
I
It got
understand.
a lot worse before I got where I am today. But
Yeah,
I
but I just had
got
this.
out.
I had
the opportunity to get out,
Yeah,
but it didn't
yeah.
never have to be that bad.
Yeah, but it's just, I just had to saw that moment and really like let you know that you're awesome, you know, and what happened to you sucks and just not right. And even hey, taking a freaking veteran's house because he died, but his wife is still there. What the fuck them? Like Jesus, you know? Like come on, people.
Yeah, you were straight in survival mode, you know. And
Yeah,
I,
like
I
it's
understand the choices that you made and why you did what you did, you know. And
yeah.
thank God that did happen, because had it not had happened, who knows if you would even be here today, you know. Like that was your initial wake up call. So thank God, you know.
I'm glad the guy was a fucking wimp and he picked on a little 14-year-old girl. I'm just letting you know, the Duke of Bel Air is saying that whoever you were, you're a fucking coward.
Apparently I got him. Like whatever he got me with, I got him back at something because my hands were tore up. Where
I bet you
must
were.
have
You were
hit
like,
me, and I've been out for a moment and probably just woke up in the car pissed. That's why they had to get me up out of the car. They were definitely marks on my hands where I was definitely fighting whoever had a hold of me.
Well,
so
I hope they have fleas. That's all. I hope they have fleas. For them. You know, maybe some bed bugs. That'd be nice too. But I don't wish bad. You can't wish bad things because I don't want that evil on me. But fleas, I can deal with fleas.
I'm sure they paid for it somewhere along the line. What they took from me that day, well, they took a lot from me that day, but that bag they took from me, you didn't just take it from me, you took it from the wrong person.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you might have taken it off a little 14-year-old shoulder, but that bag belonged to somebody else.
Yeah. That's true. Like you have a daughter. I have 4 daughters and 2 boys, but the girls, it's like, my 11-year-old is always like, oh, why can't I wear this? Because someone's going to say something and then I'm going to go to jail because I'm going to beat them up. And she's like, they're not going to say anything. And my wife's getting used to it now because I'm like, look, I'm not letting her walk out of the house with that. It looks fine, but if someone calls her a nerd because it's an anime outfit or, you know what I mean? Something like that, I'm going to get in trouble because I don't care how old they are. I'm going to kick their teeth in, you know? How dare you talk about my daughter that way, you know? So it's that, you know, that's that instinct, but it's never fun. Like I said, that I investigated 12 and under sex crimes, so it was very, very hard to do, but it was very rewarding to be able to be that other man they saw, you know, and be a light, I guess, kind of like I've met people at very bad times, and I was just always like, you know, come on up, you know. So I've always felt that, you know, it's a good thing to do, you know, and you have this amazing story, and your daughter is going to be 1,000 times cooler because she's going to be raised with, you know, this hawk eye, but also the, you know, you're going to be like me. My daughters hate when I'm like, you can't hang out with them. Why? I don't like them. Why? Because I just know the hair stands on the back of my neck. I don't want them. We're only in middle school. I don't care. Guess what? I don't care.
That's where it starts. I swear that's where it starts.
Yeah. I met a 5th grader, and I told, when my daughter was in 5th grade, I was like, nope. Why? She's like, no. She got suspended. Oh, what a surprise. Who saw that coming? I did. I was like, I told you she was bad. Boom. But so yeah, it's crazy, but that's, you know, that's what this is all about, right? Being that rock, right, Luce?
That's
every
right.
day. Every day is a new day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So,
but
where were we?
We'll give the break from that. So what do you do to keep busy? Like, what do you do when you're now going to school, you're like, I'm making something of myself. So what did you do to be busy and keep yourself away from that life? What helped you get there?
So my break completely away from that life was I just turned 28 in August 29th. So my complete break away from that life was probably when I was about 25. I'm 24 going on 25, so it was good 4 years ago. I was going through a lot, obviously, when I first stopped. The whole first year was just unreal. I had a lot of work that I had to put in for multiple different things. But at that point, the whole first year, I had a lot of things that I had to complete because I had lost my kids. I have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old and I have a 4-year-old. I lost both my kids to Children and Family Services, obviously because of my own doing. I did get my kids back, both of them. So the first year was just a lot of work for my kids, for myself. And honestly, looking at it, especially where I'm at right now, I was angry then, but now I am more than grateful for the work that I had to put in for that year. And CPS is always looked at in such a bad light. They take kids and they had the right to take my kids. They took my kids for more than enough reason. And the work that they made me do not only made me realize what I had done, but helped me realize what I didn't have to do anymore. So the first year was just a lot of work on me and everything that I had known my entire life. After that was, I've completed the work. I've got my kids back and this, that, and another. I'm getting into the daily, everyday routine of being a mom again and learning my kids and loving my kids and loving myself. So a lot of self-work within the first year. The second year, I started to learn my own interest, what I was interested in, because I didn't know. I had spent so long in the lifetime or in the lifestyle that I was in that I didn't know what I was interested in. So loving my kids within that first year, loving myself. I learned that I like to read. I do a lot of that now, and I have stacks of books everywhere. They aggravate the crap out of my significant other, but they're everywhere. I love to read. My job, everybody is like, well, I work all the time. Yeah, I do work all the time, but I don't see my work as work. There are days where with the facility that I just came from in Maryland, I'm now getting used to the one here in Florida, but the one in Maryland that I was in for the past, 3 years, there were days where I would go to work on a Saturday just because I wanted to go. I'm like, hey, there was something I was doing on Friday. I didn't get done with it, and I have the answers for it now. And it's Saturday. I'll go. I had keys to the building, so I could go in when I felt like going in. My kids could go there with me. So my 4-year-old got a lot of love from the job or the facility that I worked for. They knew my 4-year-old very well. There were days where, I have to go to work and I don't have a sitter today, so I'm, my job was more than understanding when it came to that. Actually, the job went through my first year with me. I'll explain that later, which is very, very important and vital to who I am today. But a lot of it was just loving myself, loving my kids, reading a lot, working on something that I didn't see as work and I seen as more as a progress for myself, and it still is. I do a lot of writing. I have so many journals everywhere. And my cats, I have 3 cats.
I see one's running around, yeah.
Yeah, she's probably the most skittish. She's over there in the window. I don't know if you can see her. She's so black.
And we
She's peeking
saw
around
her.
the corner.
She entered. She was like,
She's right there. But 2 of my cats walk on leashes, so they'll go out with me and my 4-year-old, and we'll go out walking. And now that we're in a new state, we're in Florida. There's a lot of stuff that I need to learn. So we're exploring new places here and things like that. I don't like to say.
just remember, alligators.
Oh yeah, that's been on my mind. It's been great.
Never jump into a pool until you look, because alligators are freshwater.
So reading, writing, my kids, my cats. I have a lot of different interests now that I didn't know I had previously.
It's awesome.
Obviously,
you're getting to be you.
Other is very important and intricate on my day-to-day life.
So, I'm gonna throw a guess, but if you're hustling, those kind of things, did you get hooked on a drug, and what was it?
Okay, so I'm trying to think. I was 16 was when my diagnosis for PTSD came up. I ended up getting that managed through. I ended up having to go through hypnosis or cognitive behavioral therapy. I went through hypnosis, so my seizures became more under control. Now I might have one a year, if that. I don't think I even had one this past year. But so I went through that, getting that diagnosis. After that diagnosis, I ended up getting expelled from school for, I can't even remember what. I was dealing. I went back to dealing when I was about 16. And I ended up getting hooked. I started out as a social user, obviously involved with, crowd I should have never been involved with. I think I was trying to fill the fact that I was really lonely. I didn't have my mom. I didn't have my dad and my grandma. I love her. I love my grandma to death. I wouldn't give anything in the world for my grandma. My grandma is very, very, I don't want to say illiterate, but there's not many other ways to say it. She literally cannot read and write. So being able to communicate with someone like that is very limited. So I think I was trying to feel the fact that I was really lonely. And so I started the social using, just hanging out with people I probably should have never been hanging out with. And the social using was, random stuff, cocaine, ecstasy, painkillers, whatever was kind of there at the party at that time. I think 17 and I realized Percocets. Percocets were my main thing. I started to do them kind of regularly, but not enough to get sick yet. And then I gave it up for a while, for like a year. So I'm 17. I'm going on to 18 at this point. I've already got my GED, this, that, and another. 18 years old is when I ended up pregnant with my first daughter. I did not use through either one of my pregnancies. So neither one of my kids went through any of that. So I'm sober the whole time I'm pregnant with my firstborn, Skylar. I had Sky, and I think immediately after having Skylar, not too long after having Skylar, I got into a really, really bad car accident, like really bad. Like we rolled a Jeep into a field, and it destroyed my right leg. So that's where I have sciatica now. But I ended up having to have 2 screws put in my knee, dissolving screws. And that started the feeding of the painkillers. I'm seeing doctors.
Right when you said you rolled the car, I was like, here, I knew it. Here it comes. I knew it. Oh.
So I went from a dealer to a social user to
clean to
hurt, and now I need to see a doctor. And the doctors started out slowly. I started on, I think it was Percocet, like 5 milligrams, 1 or 2 times a day, or something like that. Obviously, which was not treating the legitimately was not treating the pain at that point. So we went from that to morphine. I couldn't take morphine because it made me like I have an allergic reaction to morphine. I didn't know that until then, but I'm allergic to morphine. So the morphine only lasted like less than a week, and I went back to the doctor and was like, something is not right. I'm not feeling okay. It made me puke profusely. So they took the morphine away and put me on fentanyl patches. So I am 19 at this point and have boxes of fentanyl patches in my hand.
How do we even make it through that 10 years or whatever it was, that 5 years that they hooked this all on these painkillers? Jeez. I've seen so many people
half of us didn't make
never
it
come back from that. Never come back from it.
Yeah, half of us didn't make it out.
Crazy.
So this is I'm 19 now. I'm on the patches. I think a year into treatment, I'm now 20 years old. That's when that initial, I had sent you the text back saying something about my daughter's dad. All right. So I'm now 20 years old. I've been on fentanyl patches for like a year. Is when the CDC really like cracked down on pain management clinics. So the CDC did their run through, and me being, 19, 20 years old, as young as I was, and on it for such a limited amount of time, they smacked my doctor and was like, no, take that away. And that's pretty much how it went. The doctor lowered me down very quickly. So I obviously now I'm realizing at this point that I'm sick. Something's wrong with me. I didn't know that, at this point in time, taking the patches, putting this patch on my hip, like the doctor said every day, I wasn't taking, at this point, I'm not taking the patches and, chewing on them or any of that crazy. I wasn't doing any of that at that point. I'm just trying to do what the fucking doctor told me to do. And I didn't realize even doing that it didn't really matter. You're going to be fucking sick anyway. Yeah. Well, so they lowered me down really, really, really quickly. I'm now physically sick, and I have a 2-year-old running around my house. I'm working. I don't know what I'm going to do with my daughter because I'm so unbelievably sick. I can't get off the bed. Oh, yeah. Well, I called somebody and was like, I'm sick. I don't know what to do. I can't get up with the baby. The baby's in there screaming. I'm puking my brains up. I can't hold any food down. I got something that's going to fix the problem. And like, yeah, it fixed it. Fixed it and created the biggest problem I've ever had in my life. So that person came over, and that was probably the first time I ever did heroin. So heroin ended up being my drug of choice. Obviously, now I'm at the clinic. I'm no longer on fentanyl patches. They dropped me down to the Percocet. I went in the clinic. I've now tested positive for heroin at the clinic. They kicked me the fuck out of the clinic. And what did I do? Fix the problem with the heroin I already had. Fix the problem.
And it's such a common thing, you know what I mean?
It is.
Like, so common.
Yeah, someone gets in a car accident.
Them
Boom.
doctors had to know that snatching me off that medicine that quickly, I was going to be sick.
Yeah, you were withdrawing is what was happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They could have at least given me the heads up, like, "Hey, this is a possibility."
Just let everybody know. They got paid to prescribe.
Oh yeah, they got. Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely, they
But
did.
none of them were in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Just the really bad ones who got greedy. But what about all the other ones, like the ER doctors and stuff that were doing it? Sorry, that's what our ER tells us.
Honestly, I think that doctor at that point in time was just trying to treat me based on what they knew.
Exactly,
Yeah,
because
they
they have
only
the
know what they're
product.
taught.
Because the clinic did end up staying open. Like the clinic, all the doctors stayed and everything. They just started snatching medicine away from people because of the, the CDC.
Because they were told one thing and then what it was another. It was crowd control. That's what I feel. That's what
it worked. It limited the population real quick.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
Still doing
But
it.
yeah, they do. That's like when I got hurt. They're like, "Oh, do you want?" I was like, "No, I need ibuprofen 800s, please." Thank you. They're like, why? I was like, because I've
I know
seen
what's
it.
gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. After my back surgery, they gave me a week supply for 1 week after your back surgery, which is fine because I was cut open, that one. So I went for the refill. They're like, "You want a refill?" I was like, "Nope, ibuprofen 800, please, thank you."
Mm-hmm.
Those are and then now that I've had the blood thinners, I'm not allowed to take that anymore. I'm like, you guys are fucking killing me over here. You're taking my drug, my ibuprofen 800. That's fine. If I'm in pain, I take one and I'm great. Take one, I'm good. And now I can't take ibuprofen because it's a blood thinner.
Yeah, I've been there too. So I think I was 20. They've taken all this medicine away from me. I'm now stuck on heroin. I was stuck on heroin for about a year. Ended up getting off of it. Getting off of it, my pain has actually kicked back in. I really am. My sciatica was unreal. I've gotten clean. I went to the rehab and done all the good stuff. I got on the Suboxone, got off the Suboxone successfully. I had no issues. But my legitimate pain that I was going to the doctor for when I was, 19 is still there. It's not like it just disappeared. So I started taking ibuprofen daily, not knowing that, ibuprofen was going to cause me a major issue later on. And I ended up taking so much, I can't go to the pain clinic now. I can't go take pain pills. We all well know that I'm an addict. I didn't work well with anti-inflammatories either. They made me so drowsy I couldn't function.
They make me itchy.
Because I went from like Mobile and naproxone and things like that, trying to deal with the inflammation that was causing some of the major sciatica, and I got so sleepy. So of course, ibuprofen. I took so much ibuprofen it caused issues with my stomach, that dilapidated some of my stomach lining.
Yeah, you got to take it take a week off and then go back.
Yeah. So that
I'm probably having the worst stomach issues because of it. Yeah, I have the worst stomach issues. I've been having totally bad stomach issues lately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was worth it. It kept me, whatever. But everything's killing me these days. So
right.
I went on vacation and almost died. What are you going to do? So
that's horrible. My boss said the same
Yeah.
thing. And I was still working at the other facility. He got on the daggone cruise and almost, he ended up getting like airlifted off the cruise too. He almost had a stroke. And they ended up airlifting him off the cruise.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
But So the first, you had me. I was like, I'm in. But now I have to applaud you because you got off heroin. Okay, it's not. Oh yeah, I was hooked on heroin and I've been clean now. No. Fayth, you fucking beat heroin. You are badass. Okay, just remember that. All right, wait. Lucy, can you do it? Do it. That's girl power, Fayth. That should be our image. Girl power right there.
Mhm.
But Fayth, I just want you to know that you should know how awesome you are. Because it's not an easy thing. Before we were on the air when we were chatting, I said the person I knew, in high school, she OD'd on heroin. Little Tennessee girl. Sad, Brittany Maddox. And she was, my high school girlfriend and all that jazz. And I remember getting the call. Somebody's like, hey, did you just hear? And she had 2 little boys, and they were the same age as my daughters, my 2 oldest daughters. I was like, I felt so bad, because I was like, I just saw her. You know what I mean? Like, I saw her, but she OD'd, and it is what it is. It happens, and I just want you to know how awesome you are that I get to be here, talk to you, and you beat that. You know what I mean? So you're not allowed to bitch about anything though, because you are tough. So you're like, you got to know that. But now you have to give your daughter some slack because she's gonna go through things. She's like, oh, my finger. But like, really? Come on, that's it. Because I do that a lot, and I'm like, oh, sorry, or like with now both my son and daughter are in middle school this year. They're 6th graders, and I'm like saying things, and she's like, that's not gonna happen. I was like, yes, it did, because it happened to your 2 older sisters who had already graduated high school. I've already been here. I've already done it. Don't try me. But it's those things where it's just, I don't know. It's like we'll do it for ourselves. We'll protect ourselves, and then we'll protect our kids. But sometimes we react to things instead of, predetermined, know it's coming. And it's like, okay, my daughter's in graduate high school. I said, now that was my goal 1, because now you can do whatever you want and it's your choice. That was goal 1. That was my rule. You have to graduate high school. That's it. Is it a silly thing? Yeah, because I think high school's a joke sometimes, but it was a small goal to set in their life, their first life goal. You know what I mean? Graduate high school. And that's where I struggle. Is sometimes I get too protective. Like, okay, you can't do this because I know this is A and B, C is going to happen. I'm trying, to let them learn on their own, but it's hard. It's hard to see things. It's hard to let them. Oh well, we're like if they're hanging out with other people. That I know weed's legal in most states now, but I think that I don't have an issue with marijuana for adults. I don't think that a 17-year-old should make those kind of decisions. I know it's going to happen, and it is what it is. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're terrible. You know what I mean? But I'm also don't want, if I have a 17-year-old, for my 17-year-old to hang out with 17-year-olds who smoke or like smoke with their parents publicly, and it's okay. I don't want that. Now, when you turn 18, you graduate high school, make your own decision. I don't care what you do. But now it's your decision. And that's where people are like, well, it's legal now. Yeah, it is. But still, I don't think it's cool for a 16-year-old to be smoking with their friends and their friends' parents. I'm not that friend that's going to give my kid alcohol and say, hey, just drink with me, bud. I'll keep you safe. Don't think so. And I
think that's
where I struggle.
My structure went out the window. Both of my parents are obviously addicts. They're both clean now. My dad was, for one, he was never active in my life. Doesn't really know me much. But he was a previous heroin addict. And my mom smoked crack for like 13 years. She's sober. She's been sober for pretty much the majority of my life. But she was, when I was living with my mom. So I was with her from the time I was 3, 4-ish until I was about, I think I was like 12. So, no, I think I was 10. From the time I was 3 until I was 10, I was with my mom. But a lot of that structure is completely out the window. My mom was definitely the mom that I want everybody to drink at my house. I want everybody to smoke the weed at my house. I know you're here at my, give me the car keys. Nobody's leaving. And da-da-da. Yeah, well, it's not the greatest thing when your 16-year-old brother's drunk as shit in the living room and you're fucking, 9 years old in the bedroom. Like, damn, why can't I do it too? Yeah, it's just not, it's not conducive to a structured environment.
Yeah, I'm a hard ass for that, but hey, that's why I said, hey, so far I have 2 out the high school. They're on their own. They get, and they're not on their own, but they can make their own decisions. And I did my job that I think is my job, is to get them to that one little small dot and try my best to let them make their own mistakes, but also I'm going to control the environment that they're making them, because I can. And, try not to shelter too hard. But with my past job, there was a lot of sheltering because all I saw was sick, bad people. And Lucy will tell you, I used to be like this. My kids, they'd be everywhere we go, but they'd be right next to me. And I knew where they were staying. It was at my house or my sister. My sister had them. That was it. There wasn't like other people that like, I don't know you, Well, they can stay with me.
I hear that.
I was like, I don't mind you, but I don't know your boyfriend. I'm not letting him around my kid, So yeah.
Yes, I hear the same thing from my family all the time too. So it took me more than I'll ever be able to express to get my kids back. And well, my 9-year-old stays, she lives with her dad, but my 4-year-old lives with me. And when I say that I swear it took half of my heart to get these kids back out of CPS. So the idea of I'm going to let you go stay with your third cousin or my mom's sister's cousin. No, no, I don't really know many of y'all anyway. I don't know much of my family. I don't associate with much of my family for a lot of reasons, but I hear it from them all the time. Even my mom, I love my mom to death. But she was never a mother. She was a friend. And that's probably what done me the most damage. The person that raised me from the time I was, 3, 4 years old until I was about 10 years old was never a parent. She was a friend. And no, she's, my 4-year-old's not going to go stay with you or no. And I hear it all the time. Now she's going to go to her, my grandma is the person that helped raise me and, this, that, and another, or she can go stay with, a brother or something, my brother, and, his sister or his sisters, my sister-in-law, but my third cousin, my aunt that I don't associate with, no, that's where, and you know what, I hate to say it, but a lot of the stories that come, especially from little girls, as well as little boys, are from family.
Well, it's when your daughters turn 18, you can be like, you're welcome. Yeah. I know I was such an asshole for not letting you go here, but you're welcome.
Yeah.
But so I never like to leave the conversation on negative, because when you get off the phone call or the video chat, I want you to be like, that was awesome. I shared, but then we saw fun. You know what I mean? And someone's going to watch this and be like, that's awesome. I know they're going to be, because I'm telling you, like, you are awesome. Okay. Okay. If I say it has to be true, it's on the internet. So it's true. But I know this is Lucy's favorite questions that I always ask. What is your favorite song?
I have 2. I've had one that I've had my entire life for as long as I can remember. Is Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. Maybe I'm old for that, but that's a damn good song.
No, that's good. That's good.
Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls is probably been a lifelong song for me. And then a more recent, within like the past 10 years kind of thing is Beautiful Scars by Maximilian.
I think Lucy said that a couple times. Didn't we talk about that last time? Maximilian, yeah, because I looked him up. Yeah, Beautiful Scars. That's a good one. So I'm good at tangents, and I do apologize. So, Goo Goo Dolls' "Iris" is a great song, and it was definitely on my playlist all the time. Now that came out when I was in high school, so but no. The new one for me though is Jelly Roll, "Save Me."
Oh, that one played hard when I quit the first time. So I've only relapsed one time in my lifetime, but that relapse, which was the one I had about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, almost now, 4 years ago, I think actually, because this is 2023. So I got sober 4 years ago permanently, hopefully. Yeah, that one came out then. And I can remember hearing that song just ring in the rehab hallways.
So the song is amazing. Okay, he's amazing. But I see it, to me, the song is different. It still is what it is, but so I had this amazing person who is drawn all over my body. And for the rest of my life, I will be covered in his amazing artwork. And last December on my birthday, right before my birthday, he passed away. And he just got clean. He just went to rehab in November, clean. And I talked to him like the day before Thanksgiving or the day of Thanksgiving. And he called me. He's like, "I'm at rehab. I'm doing great." And I was like, "I love you, man." He's an amazing tattoo artist, but I know his family, since we were 16. So I'm like, I love him, right? But I knew who Jelly Roll was before Jelly Roll was famous because Mike tattooed him. So his hand tattoo that you see, and him and his wife Bunny, they have the matching tattoo. Mike did that. I have the video. I posted the video of Mike tattooing them. He's tattooing them. And it's younger Jelly Roll, and it's cool because it's a younger Jelly Roll, a little, not this Jelly Roll, but he's tattooing him and Bunny. That's their wedding thing. It's their matching tattoo. And there's also, I have a video of Mike. He's in the recording studio with him. So he's recording in the background. Mike's just like jamming in the recording studio, videoing it, like showing he's really hanging out with Jelly Roll. And like I said before, he was famous. And so I knew who Jelly Roll was from Mike. Mike said, "Oh, dude, Trav, you're going to love this. You got to listen to this guy." I'm like, "Oh, this is fucking awesome." Right? And he got famous. And then, Mike died. And I'm just like, I know it's silly, but I swear to you, Mike took that man's career and he's just like I just see Mike in everything he sings. I see Mike, his personality. Everybody talks about Jelly Roll's personality, that he's this huge, larger than life, loving person. And he's made all these different things in life, but he just loves people. That was Mike. Mike was this ginormous human being that loved everybody, and everybody loved Mike. And no matter who you were, you could go to him. And so that song, all his songs are just amazing to me. But that song I listen to at least twice a day. My wife, she knows. She's just all right. It's always it's shower song. It's on the playlist. It's all a bunch of Jelly Roll songs. But that's the one that gets me because it moves me for the song. But then it's like I just see him standing on stage every time Jelly Roll performs, and he's just sitting back like, "Yep, that's my boy." That's my friend. My friend Jelly Roll's famous. Because that's like Mike was. Mike was tattooed all these famous people all the time. But that personality, it's that's what I see. It's crazy, but it's fun. But so for me now, it is now forever will be "Save Me" because that. But I do like your song choices. Now this next one is a hard one. It can be more than one because you can do different genres. But it's what's your favorite movie?
The Goonies.
Goonies, nice.
The Goonies will always be my
She didn't even
favorite
on that one.
Yeah, nice. You got to give me that remember the truffle shuffle? My friend used to do it in school.
I would never forget.
Yeah,
I remember watching Goonies on the VCR before DVDs were even a thing, and the big old box
Mhm.
TV, and me and my little
Yep.
brother Aaron would always sit in front of the TV with a bowl of cereal and watch the
Mhm.
movie. So I have
Yeah.
some. I mean, it's a good movie. It's a really good movie, but I have good memories attached to the movie.
Yeah. It's funny because hey, you guys,
Me and my little brother will
Trump.
do that anytime it's
Yeah.
we were going to like a family thing or something. Yeah.
Mhm. Rocky Road. And they're saying that they're remaking, or not remaking, and they're doing a sequel to the Goonies now. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
I'm ready.
But I think it's funny that it's been a couple years now that I realized that the big brother in that movie has been in so many movies, and I love him in all these movies. And I'm like, man, this guy just seems so familiar. Yeah, you grew up with the guy as you know what I mean, as one of your favorite movies. But he was the last movie he was in was Deadpool 2. He played Cable.
Mhm.
Cable, the bad guy that turns good guy in the movie. But yeah, so, and I'm like, oh crap, that is him. And he's in so many movies that I'm like, I've always liked it. This adult actor is just a really cool guy. And I'm like, man, and then I found that out like last year, and I'm like, holy crap, that's so funny. It's that same person. So you're just like, why do I know this guy? Like, it's because you do. But he's funny. And then, what is your geek? What do you geek like? What is your geek? Like I said in the beginning, like everybody has a geek. They, tattoos, music, collectibles. People that like my show that make cool things for me.
I stated earlier, I said something about I feel like I'm a weirdo when people look at me when I do it too. I'll see a cat of it. I don't give a crap if it's just climbed out the dumpster and I'm like, I'm eating it.
Mm-hmm.
And we love you.
Yeah.
My boy, I came home.
love you,
I don't know how many times I've come home and I've been like, look at what I got.
Look what I found.
Yeah.
Fayth, what's your sobriety date?
Okay. So my own. So like I said, I've only relapsed one time. That was I relapsed in 2019. No, yeah, I relapsed in 2019, right at the start of COVID, and my sobriety date it's on my clock. My sobriety date is April 1st.
Nice. Mine's January 23rd of 2020.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty close to me.
Yeah,
pretty close to me.
Yeah. So I was just showing you. I don't know if it'll be able to see. So this is when we were on vacation before I had the stroke. That is my wife in a gas station, or it's like a little, Jiffy store, and there's just a random cat walking around inside. It was the owner's cat, and she just picked it up and wanted to love on it. That's all. She just had
that's
to.
cute.
Yeah. So my wife is the exact same way. She's like, I need to love you, and all the cats. Yeah.
I know I make some. I can only imagine what the cat sees because my faces have got to be crazy. Like,
come here.
Yeah. It was like me. I'm tall, so I'm like, come here. I'm like, But so it's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story. I can't tell you enough how honored I am that I get to put this out and let other people hear it, and that you trusted me with this because I'm going to, just like I did everyone else, I'm doing it for good cause, not for gain. Like this show that I do, I'm calling it, it's a show. I don't know what it is. It's for me and my, help me with my PTSD. It keeps me busy, helps me. But this is I pay for that. I don't get paid to do these things. You know what I mean? It's not like a paid show where I'm like, all right, guys, here's the advertisers, that kind of stuff. It's because I want to do. I want to make these things known and let these things out. Let people hear. So, because I feel like every time I've heard people's stories, they always say I didn't know who to go to. No one in my family did it. I was the only one in my family, so they didn't understand. You know what I mean?
I'm
And
the only one in my family
so,
that has the time that I have. Also the only one in my family that took on CPS and won. My mom lost me to CPS and obviously never got me back. I landed with my grandma. I took on CPS and I won. I won from multiple states away at that. My kids were in the state of North Carolina in foster care, and I was in Baltimore, Maryland fighting, and I won. So I'm the only one that has taken on CPS and won and gotten the kids back, at least that I'm aware of. And
awesome.
the only one that I'm aware of that has successfully quit heroin in our family.
Breaking those
Well,
cycles.
enjoy the springs of Florida because they're amazing. Springs are way better than the beach, I tell you. And just ask around, like, which spring would you go to? They'll be like, oh, we'll tell you. They're way better than the beach. I swear. Clear water, awesome, natural. It's good stuff.
I have to check it out.
Yeah, right, Lucy? Springs are the place to go. I don't know, like, you have to check because when I was there, the springs are starting to get a little lower. So I don't know which ones are still as fun. But, well, I appreciate it so much. Lucy, do you have anything?
Faith, actually, I have started doing a recovery talk thing that I would like to have you on sometime if you're interested. So,
Oh yeah, that would be great. That would be great. I am for it. Like he said a moment ago, there was just not. I didn't know who to reach to. I've had multiple people come to me and ask for me to talk in person. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with this for now. So I'd be more than willing to.
so just remember that when someone asks you to tell your story, because I was really like nervous about it at first too, just remember that you could be saving a life. So that's how I got out of my own way, right? Like, because I don't know about you, but for me, like I'm very shy in front of people, and I let my ego kind of get in the way and hold me back a little bit. So someone said that to me, like, just remember that you could be saving someone's life. So maybe that
I think
will
what
help
broke
you.
my I don't want to do that. I think I was afraid of my story at first, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
But
because there's a lot of us.
I remember being in like a group. I think this was in like I don't know. I'm probably almost a year clean at this point. And I was discharging from the outpatient stuff and everything else. And there was a woman that came to me. She was much older than I was. I mean, I'm only at this point older than like 25-ish, 6. She came to me much older than I was, dealing with the same thing. She was fighting CPS. She was losing horribly. Why, I really don't know, because she didn't have a single dirty drug screen on her or anything like that, and had obviously been doing the program the CPS requested from her. But she was losing bad, and she was literally court cases away from losing her 11-year-old daughter. And she come to me and she was just like, I've heard you talk about, your kids and where you are with your case and this, that, and another, and you're fighting this case from states away. And you definitely sound like you're going to walk away with your kids. I need help.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. So I ended up, going to her house, sitting down with her, going through all of her files from CPS and everything else. And I stayed with her to fight the case. She won.
Okay.
She won.
Yeah.
She was steps away from losing the case and her daughter, and ended up about 6 months later walking away with a closed case and with her kid.
And that's an example of why our stories are so important, because we could help, and we could help anybody with our stories.
Yeah, that one really opened me up. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I really do understand. I know how this works. I know how to do what you need to do. I know how to get past this. And I watched my capability help someone else. And then I was like, okay, I've got to start talking. I've got to start
And
talking.
there's a lot of shame attached to addiction and even recovery, because the stigma is that, only 2% of addicts fully recover. So even with the recovery, people are like, they're just going to relapse anyway. So there is a lot of shame and stuff, and it's hard for some people to speak out about it, but I think it's so important. That's how we are going to be able to break the stigma, is
Yeah.
telling our stories and being loud about our recovery. And so, yeah, I mean, I would love to interview you about strictly the recovery part of it, if you would be
That
open
would
to
be
that.
great. I think that part of the story is definitely vital. Vital.
Yep.
That'd be
Agreed.
great.
Awesome.
That's well, that's what this was for, you know, to get it out there. And I'm super excited because Lucy is, you know, doing her thing. Lucy is what is it called? What was the warrior? What did you call it?
Recovery warrior. Yeah.
I'm for it. I will stand behind that for sure.
So I just thank you again. Like I said, your story is amazing. It's heartbreaking, but you are such a strong woman, and I'm super excited that I got to chat with you about everything. And you should be so proud of yourself for everything you've accomplished, because like she said, it's not a negative. It's a fucking awesome that, you know, that's what happened. But look at me, you know,
Yeah.
you know, I always
really
tell my daughters, look behind you. That's everything. That's it. It's behind you. Fuck it. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
I
Can't
appreciate
get
the
you.
opportunity, and I look forward to seeing the outcome of the recording, and I hope it does help someone. There's definitely
Absolutely.
somebody out there that needs it, and I hope they see it.
Yeah. Like, come play with me. But thank you so much
Love
again.
you.
And I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. And we will be seeing you real soon. And bye, guys.
Bye.